And now let us move on to the types of law. There are four types of law. The first one is eternal law, the divine law, the natural law, and the human law or positive law. Okay, the first law is eternal law. When we say eternal, it means forever, timeless, or unending. Okay, based on the meaning of eternal law is the mind of God which humans cannot know. It contains law that governs the universe. Therefore, eternal law is God's unchanging plan that governs everything. The second law is divine law. When we say divine, it means it is related to God or coming from God. And now, according here, that the divine law is a law of God revealed to people through the Bible and also decreed by God in the Ten Commandments. Therefore, this law comes from God. And the third one, we have the natural law. Now, from the word natural, it is something that is normal or innate. According here, do good and avoid evil. It talks about conscience. And also, it is what directs our conscience. And if applied with reason to a situation, will lead to the right outcome. The last law is the human law or the positive law. Based on the meaning, it is promulgated by persons and everyday rules that governs our lives. Now, this refers to law that are created and implemented by the people like governments, leaders, or institutions to maintain order in society. Now, as for conclusion, what is ethical according to the natural law ethics framework is that which the natural law commands us to do, which is do good and avoid evil. Next, we have Kant's deontological ethics, the duty framework. Immanuel Kant, the 18th century German philosopher, thought that religion and morality are a terrible pairing. Kant also argued that in order to know what is right, you have to use reason. And also, he said, you don't need religion to determine what that law is, because what's right and wrong is totally knowable just by using your intellect. Next, let us proceed to categorical imperatives. According here, regardless of your desires, these are commands you must follow. And also, moral obligations are derived from pure reason. The first one is act only according to that maxim which you can at the same time will that it should become a universal law without contradiction. The second one is act so that you treat humanity, whether in your own person or in that of another, always as end and never as mere means. According to the first formulation is that maxim is just a rule or principle of actions and the universal law is something that must always be done in similar situation. As for the universal law meaning, according here, something that must always be done in similar situations. On the second formulation, mere means to use it for your own benefit with no thought to the interest or benefit of the things you're using. And of course, as a human being, it ends in ourselves. We're not mere objects that exist to be used by others. We're our own ends. We're rational and autonomous. We have the ability to set our own goals and work towards them. This imbues us with an absolute moral worth, which means that we shouldn't be manipulated or manipulate other autonomous agents for our own benefits. You've treated me as a mere means to accomplish your goals, with no thought to my own goals and interests, and that's violation of Kant's second categorical imperatives. Kant argued that the proper rational application of the categorical imperative will lead us to a moral truth that is fixed and applicable to all moral agents, no God required. And that's all for the two formulation. Now we have love and justice framework. According here, what is ethical is that which is just and that which is loving, and also justice giving what is due to others. Love is giving even more than what is due to others. Now that was the love and justice framework. And now we have here the three well-known concepts of love according to the Greeks. The first one is agape. It means it is all about the charity. The second one is the erotic. It's all about the passionate sexual encounter. The third one is philia. It is all about affection between friends. Those are the three well-known concepts of love according to the Greeks, which are the agape, erotic, and philia. And now let us move on to social justice. According here, social justice is a promotion of common good, and also it is giving everyone equal access to the following, which are the wealth, opportunities, and privileges in the society. Now we have here also distributive justice. Now this justice has something to do with the distribution of allotment of goods, duties, and privileges based on the merits of individuals and the best interests of society. Therefore, justice as a moral framework, be it social or distributive justice, states that whatever promotes justice is the morally right thing to do. We are done with social justice and distributive justice, and now let us proceed to utilitarianism, the consequentialist ethical framework. Utilitarianism, it is a moral theory that focuses on the result or consequences of our actions and treats intentions as irrelevant. And also, utilitarianism was founded in the 18th century by the British philosophers Jeremy Bentham and John Stuart Mill. And also, utilitarianism has philosophical ancestors in ancient Greek thinkers such as Epicurus. And now for utilitarianist, action should be measured in terms of the happiness or pleasure that they produce. And also, we should act always so as to produce the greatest good for the greatest number. This is called principle of utility. Now let us proceed to the two options of utilitarianism, which are the act of utilitarianism and the rule utilitarianism. First option, the act of utilitarianism. And in any given situation, you should choose the action that produces the greatest good for the greatest number. The second option is that rule utilitarianism. It is a version of the theory that says we ought to live by rules that, in general, are likely to lead to the greatest good for the greatest number. Therefore, a whole society where innocent people are taken off the street to be harvested for their organs is going to have a lot less utility than one where you don't have to live in constant fear of that happening to you. And now, the rule of utilitarianism allows us to refrain from acts that might maximize utility in the short run and instead follow rules that will maximize utility for the majority of the time. And we are done with the two options of utilitarianism. And now let's proceed to the better moral framework, Garner and Rosin's synthesis, 1967. According here, the rightness or wrongness of action and the goodness or badness of character or traits is a function of not only the end, object, or consequences of applying a rule of utilitarianism, or doing an act or the act utilitarianism, but also other bases like one's sense of duty and goodwill, or the rule or act of deontology.